Hey guys, welcome to Carnivorous Plants Hub. Today I'm really excited to bring you this video of my Sarracenia Purpurea. Today we'll be repotting the Sarracenia Purpurea and then also be giving you some Sarracenia Purpurea care tips so you guys can hopefully learn from this video and hopefully get some of these plants of your own and learn how to take care of them. Right off the bat, before we even start, one of my favorite things about these plants, the Sarracenia Purpurea, is just how hardy they are. They're one of the more hardy species of Sarracenia and can survive in temperatures as low as like -15 degrees. Probably not consistently all winter, but they've been known to survive through winters that are suffering from those low of temperatures. So that's a lot lower than most of what I get up here in the Pacific Northwest. Although this week I'll be seeing some single-digit temperatures. So finding out that there's some carnivorous plants out there that are super hardy like this is really exciting for me because of the area that I live in. So I'm really excited to plant these for you guys and kind of show them off to you. I'm going to be going over what I'm planting them in here, and then also just general care tips for these, watering, dormancy, food, and all that good stuff. Sometimes food is kind of confusing when it comes to carnivorous plants because people often mistake the need to give them bugs or insects. So we'll kind of go over that and give you guys some information in regards to these really cool plants, so you will know how to grow these. I do grow some Sarracenia, but I've not done this particular species, the Sarracenia Purpurea. You'll probably see some of my videos are labeled Sarracenia Purpurea that I've done in the past, and those were actually mislabeled, and come to find out that that's actually not a Sarracenia Purpurea. So, and now that I have these in my possession, I can clearly see that it's definitely a different species of Sarracenia. So if you want to check out that other one that I got mislabeled, I think that's probably a Sarracenia swanniana, or maybe even a Sarracenia maroon, that a couple people have advised that it could be. But go check out that video if you guys want to see those Sarracenia and kind of see how they compare and contrast, and you'll be able to see pretty clearly that they're definitely not exactly the same as these Purpurea. So these Purpurea are pretty cool, and I think one day I might actually move these into like a bog garden type situation, because I've always kind of wanted to have a little bog garden, pairing them up with some of the hardier types of Venus flytraps that I have. I think that would make kind of a really cool little bog garden, is if I had some of these Purpurea. These are kind of like, if you look at these plants and you're just kind of looking at them on the surface, they're kind of almost like dinosaur plants. They look like something you would see like dinosaurs roaming around with. They got these really kind of cool veiny hoods. The body of them are kind of green and partially purple, and like this one over here has some really good color. You can see they're just a really cool plant. I picked these ones up at Lowe's. I kind of went over that in another video for you guys, so if you guys want to find more about where these came from, I picked them up at Lowe's for like $6-7 each. I was pretty lucky this time of year, because typically this time of year in the Pacific Northwest, Lowe's does not carry any carnivorous plants, or really any kind of plants other than like succulents and that kind of stuff. So it was kind of cool to be able to find these in the middle of February in the Pacific Northwest. But so what I'm going to do, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and put this on a tripod so I can be hands-free here, because trying to do this type of thing completely hands-free will be pretty difficult. So I think I'm going to go ahead and throw this camera on a tripod, and then we will get started on replanting these and going over some general care tips. All right, let's do it. Hey guys, real quick before I put the camera on the tripod, I just wanted to thank you for being here, let you know how much I appreciate your support on my channel and watching my videos. I'm really working hard on growing carnivorous plants so that I can eventually open up a nursery in my area. And I appreciate your support so much. Some things you can do to really support me is, make sure and like the video. That helps me out a lot. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I'm bringing all kinds of updates on different types of carnivorous plants. Some that I have a lot of experience with, but then also some that I don't have very much experience with. So in a lot of my videos, they're educational, but they're also me learning as well. And that's one of the reasons that I started this channel, is so that I can learn along with you guys. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, like anything you can do, share any of my videos. It's all much appreciated, and thank you for being here. Let's go ahead and get to planting these. All right, guys. Okay, I got the camera on a tripod now, so I can actually have my hands when I'm planting these Sarracenia Purpurea for you. So I guess the first thing I'm going to go over here real quick is the soil mix, right? That's a lot of people's questions when it comes to carnivorous plants. The first thing is the soil mix. It looks like these are actually planted in a, let's see if I can get close enough here for you to see it, in like a sphagnum moss, like a long fiber sphagnum, which is a great choice. A lot of people love going to the long fiber sphagnum moss. It's great for moisture retention, and it's really just a good all-around type of media for growing carnivorous plants, especially nepenthes. But what I'm actually going to plant in today is a mix of peat, perlite, and silica sand. This is a really good mix, and if you guys want to see exactly how I make this mix, I do have a video showing you exactly what I do and my process for soaking the perlite, soaking the sand, and then also kind of soaking the peat moss as well, to make sure that it kind of gets rid of any possible contaminants or minerals or anything that might be in there. So definitely check out that video if you want to see exactly how to make this mix. But for today, I already put it in here, and I already had a mix made up, so I just kind of threw it in here. I don't know if, let me see if I can get a little bit closer here. Maybe be able to see better the sand in there. You can see the grains of sand better from that close up there, and then the perlite. This is actually dried out now. I probably should have wetted it down a little bit. This mix is a lot easier to deal with when it's wet, especially if you're trying to plant, trying to make holes. It doesn't really stay. So I'll probably use my Core Gear mister here to mist it out a little bit so that I have a little more pliability with my soil. But so I do kind of mostly even parts peat moss with and then even parts perlite, and then I don't use quite as much silica sand as I do the others, and to be honest, I've just gotten to the point to where I eye it, so I'll probably fill this planter up a little over halfway full with the peat moss, and then up to here a little bit with the perlite, and then kind of top it off with the silica sand. So it's not like it doesn't have to be an absolute science when you're making this mix. You just want to make sure you have quite a bit of perlite in there. The perlite really helps with absorbing the water and making sure that it distributes pretty evenly, and helps keep the ground nice and moist. Also, this mix allows for the water to pass through fairly easily, which is really good for these. They do like to be kind of flushed. They don't like the water just to sit there all the time and puddle up, so they like the kind of movement of water. So that this soil mix is really good for that. So now that we're talking about water, let's go ahead and talk about water a little bit. If you're new to carnivorous plants, you probably need to know for sure that everything should be like a distilled water, a reverse osmosis water, or even rain. A lot of people use rainwater. I do recommend testing your rainwater before you use it, just because different areas of the country can have different particles per million with rainwater. You can get a little tester on Amazon for like 10-15 bucks to test your water. It's probably a good idea. You can test your drinking water and everything too, to see if you need to use a filter or whatever. So let's go ahead and spray this down a little bit. Sorry, like I said, I should have probably already done this. This will just help me be able to. Also, another thing you'll probably want with your carnivorous plants is a sprayer like this. These are so great. Any kind of planting, like if you have plants in your home, getting a little mister like this is just so nice. But this will help me so that I can move this soil around a little better while I'm trying to plant here. Okay. And honestly, I would have done this anyway after I planted them. So either way, we want to make sure that these guys are wet. So like I said, with distilled water, make sure that you're always using distilled water. Make sure that your water always has less than 50 parts per million when you test it. Reverse osmosis water or distilled water, you can pick up distilled water in like the big box grocery stores. They usually will have. There has been some lack of supply that I've seen lately, so it can be a little trickier to find. I haven't had any problems finding it, but you can buy it by the gallons, and unless you have a massive carnivorous plant garden, you're probably going to be okay buying 2-3 gallons at a time, and that keeps you stocked for usually a few weeks. So that's kind of how I'm doing it right now, just because I don't have a ton of carnivorous plants, although I am getting up there, so I'm starting to consider some reverse osmosis water systems to either go under my sink or on top of my counter. So that's something I'll be looking at in the future as well. But so let's go ahead and let's go ahead and make, I think I'm going to do one here. And I'm not super familiar with this root system, so I'm making the holes here. We might need to adjust the holes a little bit based on what the actual root system looks like. I'm going to go ahead and get a little more water down in there just to help with the pliability of that. Go. One there, and then we'll put one over here. A little water down there. Okay guys, Sarracenia Purpurea, they do like to be kept wet and moist, so you do not want to let these plants ever dry out. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to keep this, oh look, I'm going to get my planter all filthy, that's fine. You can see I've actually drilled some holes in the bottom of this. This is, sorry, I thought I could see it, you could see it there, but I wish I could show you the bottom a little better, but what I did is I actually got this little bowl at Walmart. I have a planter that's probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches taller, and I just didn't want to use that much soil. And it's a little bit harder to keep the roots moist when the planter's that tall. So this is probably about 5-6 inches tall, and it's basically just a bowl that I went and picked up at Walmart in the like Tupperware section. So it was like a set of 4 bowls for like $5, and we'll use the other bowls for whatever. So so then I drilled holes in the bottom to make sure we get good water flow. And then, like I said, I'll keep this in a tray of water to make sure that these guys are always staying moist, because you don't ever want to let these guys dry out. So let's go ahead and pull one out. Here, I'm going to hold up the camera. I think that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and, same as most plants, right? You want to pinch this, try to loosen up the roots a little bit. And let's go ahead and pull this guy out here. Hopefully he won't give us too much trouble. I'm going to do this, I'm actually probably going to bring this a little closer here. I'm going to do this over here. I'm going to make a big mess. My wife will be super happy about that, but we'll try to clean it up before she sees anything. Put these back. Okay, let's go ahead and pull off. See, this is all that sphagnum moss, this long fiber sphagnum moss, which is really good stuff. So I'm kind of glad that it was at least in this. Sometimes you get these plants and there's some really weird mixes that you just haven't seen before. It looks like maybe it possibly was peat moss at one point, but this one doesn't look to be too bad. Now my understanding is that these Sarracenia Purpurea don't have super big, crazy root systems, so it doesn't surprise me that we're not quite seeing anything. Looks like there might be some there. Nope, not yet. So I don't think we're gonna have to go super deep. Looks like maybe some roots there. Let's see. Just take your time with this, guys. This process is, you just got to be kind of patient. It'd be really easy to get impatient right here and just kind of rip this all out. But this sphagnum moss here, it just kind of sort of all tangles up and can be kind of hard to remove. But there we go. That's a pretty bad tangle right there. There, you're starting to see some of the roots there. I believe that actually could be the roots from the moss. Let's see. You know what I should have done, and I didn't even think about it. I really should have, actually, hold on guys, I'm gonna pause for just a second. I'm gonna go get a bowl of distilled water so that I can dip these roots in that bowl, and that'll help them come out a little bit better. So give me just a second. Okay guys, sorry about that. I have a bowl here that I got, and I'm going to put some distilled water in here, and I'm hoping that that'll help loosen up these roots so that I can get the plant out a little bit easier. Let's do that right there and just see how this does here. Let's go ahead and grab this guy. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and dip. Just move it around a little bit. And I used to, if I thought that this was a terrible media, what I'll do is I'll actually try really hard to make sure I get every drop of this off. If it looks like it's contaminated or it's like got mold on it or something like that. But what I've actually started doing is, instead of pulling all of it off, I'll leave a little bit on there. So I'll probably leave a little bit of this on here, and that way it's getting a mix of what it's been in and a mix of the new stuff. And then when I repot it, obviously I can repot it in whatever I want, but so I'm not gonna work to get all of this off. I'm just gonna work to get some of it off. And here you can start to see some of the roots now. So there's kind of the root system there, you can see. So I want to be really careful now because I don't want to damage any of these roots, so I want to be real careful tugging at these here. Once we get some of these off, then I don't even think that you guys can see that. I'm sorry, I have a bad habit of doing that. If you see any of my other videos where I repot, you'll notice that I get in my own little world and you guys can't even see what I'm doing. So, okay. So I think, let's see if this one comes off here. I'm not gonna pull that one, that one was being stubborn. Yeah, see there's a nice root there. Okay, so we're getting pretty down to it here now, guys. So what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna take what I have left here and I'm going to go ahead and plant this down here. Now we want, I wish I could get this one's kind of, there we go. We'll get that one off. Okay, so you want to try to give these roots as much ability to go all the way down as possible. So I'm going to dig my hole just a little bit deeper. Okay, we're going to put this down in here. Bury this guy there. That looks pretty good right there. Okay, and then we're just going to go ahead and put in, I thought that was a pitcher, but it was just some of the, there we go. And then once I get these in here, I probably should have trimmed these up before I put them in, but you know, whatever, because I do want to get some of these dead pitchers off here just because they don't really need to be on there. If they're dried up and dead, you can go ahead and get rid of those. So boom, there we go, one down. Looks pretty nice, huh? Okay, let's go ahead and do the next one. I'll take a look at, guys, when I'm editing this video. I might cut some of this just because you guys don't need to spend 30 minutes watching me remove all of this sphagnum moss from these plants. I'm sure you have better things to do with your time than to watch that. Although if you're a big nerd like me with these plants, you probably really don't mind it at all. So to each their own, right? All right, well, let's talk about, while I'm doing this, let's talk about what to feed these guys and sunlight requirements. And the reason I put those two together is because they're kind of one and the same. So really, these guys, they like to be outside, and I'll have these under my lights for now. But they really do better if they get natural sunlight. They should get at least a bare minimum of 5 hours of natural sunlight a day. But the more you can get them, the better. These guys really thrive with a lot of sun. So you really want to get them out in as much sun as possible. You almost can't give them too much sun. Whatever time of day your sun is out. Now you probably can scorch them a little bit if you live in an area where it gets super hot day in, day out for a lot of consecutive days. So you'll want to be a little careful. But these guys do like a lot of sun. So I'm going to put them under my grow lights, but as soon as spring comes around here and I feel comfortable going ahead and putting them out, that's what I'll definitely do. I don't want to put them out right now because I don't think that they've been in dormancy, and I don't want to shock them because it's so cold here. So I'll probably wait until early spring and get these outside once I start seeing the 50s, 60 degree temperatures outside. So I'm going to go ahead and dip this. So that's the sun requirements, lots of sun, guys. You can probably put these outside of a window, although I don't recommend that. I don't think that's going to be what's best for them. It's kind of the same as a Venus flytrap. You can do that, you can get away with it, but what we tend to see is that your plants just won't be as healthy as they would be if they were outside getting real sun. So these plants are really good if you just want an outdoor plant and you just want to leave it outside. They're really good for that because you can leave them out in the extreme cold temperatures, and with a little overwintering, you know, putting them under some pine needles or something like that during winter dormancy, they can actually do really well in that type of environment. So if you're looking for a straight outdoor carnivorous plant and you live in an area that gets really cold, this is probably going to be your go-to. So now obviously we're talking about carnivorous plants, so one of the questions that always comes up is, what should I feed it? What kind of bugs should I feed it? Do I need to feed it bugs? Everybody wants, one of the coolest and most attractive things of carnivorous plants is obviously the fact that they do eat insects, and that's cool because it brings a lot of people to the hobby and a lot of people to see it. But what they don't realize is that you don't really have to feed carnivorous plants insects to live. The sun is actually their main source of food, so they don't really need the insects. You can kind of think of it as the insects are more of a fertilizer, and if you leave your plant outside, they're going to catch bugs. I'm going to show you this real quick here so you can kind of see how this works. But if you look at that plant, let me see if I can get that to focus. Oh, come on, focus. Oh, I don't think I can. Here, let me see if I can set this here and then get, because I want to show you guys this. This is really cool. This is how these kind of work. Let's see. Just because my hand is shaking, I can't keep it. Okay, let's see if I can. Here, let me pull this off real quick, guys. Okay. So, since we're talking food and what they eat, I wanted to show you this. Let me get as close as I can here to this guy so you guys can. Okay, so do you guys see all those little hairs? If you look at really closely at that, oh come on. If you look really closely at that, you'll see a ton of little tiny hairs poking up. So what happens is the insects crawl on there, and those hairs all actually point down. And once they get stuck down in that picture there, see down there, it's gonna be hard to see inside the picture, but once they get stuck down inside that picture and they try to climb out, those hairs make it so it's almost impossible for them to get out. So it makes that hood really slippery for them. And then also, since the hairs are pointing down, it's like a trap. So once they get down in there, these plants will release their digestive enzymes, and the bug just cannot get out. So they'll digest the insect down at the bottom of the trap, and then all of the yummy stuff for the plant will be absorbed by the plant after it releases that enzyme. So it's really interesting, and it's really cool. And if your plant is outside, it's just going to naturally oops, sorry, hold on. If the plant is outside, it's just going to naturally get a lot of insects in there, because the substance that's in the bottom of them is like a sweet substance, and it just naturally attracts the bugs. So you really don't have to give these guys bugs, although you can if you want. I guarantee you, if you put these outside, the insects will come without really needing to do anything. So as long as you're giving guys as long as you're giving the Sarracenia Purpurea their sun requirements, the insects is just really not necessary. So really the answer to the insect question is probably don't ever feed them any insects, unless you're showing a friend and you want to, show them that it's cool. But usually what ends up happening is instead of showing your friend to eating a bug, you can just tell your friend to kind of pop their eye down in there, and they'll be able to see that there's a bunch of dead bugs down there anyway. They've been eating bugs. So eating mostly sun, and then the insects, especially if you keep these guys outside, will come. It probably wouldn't hurt to give them a fly here or there if you keep them inside. But even inside, most places, there's going to be some insects and some flies, or whatever will eventually end up down there. So feed them a lot of sun is the answer to what you should feed a Sarracenia. In this case, the Purpurea. Okay. Okay, we've got a lot of this off. I'm gonna try to get just a little bit more here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put this one in here pretty soon, because the rest of this sphagnum moss is being pretty dang stubborn, which is just fine. That's no big deal. Just want to do your best to try to not damage most of the existing root system. So as you can see there, look, this one has a really long one coming down, but there's a lot of the roots right there. So let's go ahead and put this guy in. Put it in. This one here, I'm gonna dig it down just a little more. There we go. I'm actually gonna twist it around this way because I like this picture to grow out. Go, try to get all the roots to go down to the hole. There we go. Don't want to pat down your existing mix too much, just enough to make sure that it kind of stays in place. You don't want it to be too firm, because like I said, if you get it too packed down, what happens is that water will start to kind of just sit on top there, and you want that water to be able to drain through. So you don't want to really pack these plants down. You want to keep this nice and loose. All right. Okay guys, we have one more plant here. I am going to go ahead and remove it. I'm probably just going to kind of fast forward so you can kind of see me get through this quickly. Or I guess what we could do actually is we could talk about winter dormancy while I'm taking this one out. Let's do that. Let's talk about dormancy. So with winter dormancy, these guys, like I said, if you're keeping them outside, they're naturally going to go through dormancy. There's not really anything you have to do but leave them outside. If you live in an area that's got really cold temperatures, and it gets really kind of below 20 degrees commonly, which does kind of happen where I live, You may want to take some overwintering precautions. So like laying down, there's like some materials you can get to protect plants in the winter, or you can lay down like pine needles, wood chips, that kind of stuff, just to kind of, you know, bury them quite a bit to make sure you're covering up the rhizome from the plant. That'll help make sure that these guys don't get too frozen underneath. The pitchers will die, and you'll be able to trim them back. That's no big deal. A lot of people will end up throwing out Sarracenia or a Venus flytrap because the main part of the plant dies when they go dormant in the wintertime, which is obviously a mistake, because once they pop out of dormancy, they kind of just go back to normal. So, and they start growing brand new pitchers. So it's really common for people to think that the plant is dead when it's actually not dead. It's just going through its dormant period. So don't make that mistake. If you're in the middle of winter and your plant looks like it's dying and the pitchers are dying, that's probably because they are. But that's fine, because the plant will grow bigger, stronger pitchers once they come out of that winter dormancy. The dormancy is basically a period for the plant to sort of recover. Sorry, that's my dog barking. So the rhizome will actually store a ton of energy during winter dormancy, and then it'll make it so that it kind of recovers from its growth period, and then it'll actually produce bigger, stronger plants after the dormancy. So even though it kind of looks like, hey guys, hold on just a second, I'm gonna get my dog. Okay guys, sorry about that. People walk by the road in front of my house here and my dog freaks out. I'm sure a lot of you guys can empathize with that. But anyway, so yeah, so the dormancy, don't confuse a plant losing its pitchers and dying with dormancy. If it's in the wintertime and you're losing pitchers, it's probably not dying, it's probably in a dormant period. So, and these plants do require that dormancy, guys. There's not really any way around it. They do need it. There are some people that experiment with using lights or whatever, but if you're just kind of a normal hobbyist and you're trying to grow these for the first time, or you're probably not going to get away with skipping a dormancy with a light or whatever. So just try to give them their dormancy period and make sure that they're getting exactly what they need. So, all right, let's see here. This one's roots aren't as deep as the other ones were, so that's okay. This one actually probably looks the most healthy out of the other three, out of all three of them. But all right, guys, I think I'm gonna fast forward a little bit just because I don't have anything else to really talk about this second. And then, yeah, so you can watch me do this in at least a faster speed. Okay guys, I'm sorry if I got out of the picture there, but there you go. There's the roots for that one. I actually got a lot more of the moss off of this one than some of the other ones. So let's go ahead and get this guy put in the dirt. Give it a gentle pack right around the rhizome there. Sphagnum moss out of there that it's kind of hitchhiking in there. And there we go, guys. I should have probably put these guys at the back, huh? That's all right. These are all going to grow up anyway, and it won't matter after a while. But yeah, so there we go. Let's go ahead and give you guys a little bit better, closer look here. So there we go. So now they're all in here. I think that I will let them stay in here for a while. They will probably outgrow this bowl before too long, probably in a year, maybe two, and then I'll replant them into something bigger. I think at that point I'll probably be ready to start my bog garden, but I can't think of any other good care tips for these guys. If you guys think of something that I missed or something that I didn't talk about that you want to know about, definitely hit up the comment section. I'd be more than happy to discuss these plants. That's the greatest thing about a community like this, is that I can, you know, I can maybe forget something in a video, but we can definitely discuss. I'm not using like cue cards, or I'm not using anything. I was just kind of going off the cuff with care tips on these guys that I've learned over the last couple years. So if you guys can think of anything that you want to know, or information that you need for what you're looking for, definitely throw it in the comments, and we will talk about it. So Again, thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you so much for supporting this channel. Like I always tell you, it just means the world to me. You know, you guys are helping support my dream, and you know, liking the video, subscribing, sharing, all that great stuff is it helps me out so much. So again, thank you for being here, and I hope to see you guys in a different video. We'll talk to you later. Bye.